You have surely heard the ancient phrase memento mori, remember that you will die. But tonight we turn to its luminous companion, a phrase far less spoken yet just as wise. Memento vivere, remember to live. For it is not enough to remember that our days are numbered. We must also remember, while we still have them, to truly live. It is a strange truth of human existence that we can be alive for many years and yet hardly live at all. Moving through our days half asleep, distracted, deferring our real living to some future that never comes, going through the motions of a life we are not truly present for. And so the ancient wisdom gently calls to us, remember to live, not someday, not when conditions are perfect, now in the one precious life you have been given. This may seem a strange reflection for the edge of sleep, but to remember to live, we must first learn to rest. For a life of frantic exhaustion is not a life fully lived, and the deepest living flows from a place of peace. Tonight, then, we will reflect gently on what it means to truly live, to be present, to savor, to wonder, to love, to say yes to the gift of existence. And we will do so from a place of rest, letting these reflections nourish your soul as you drift towards sleep, so that you may wake more alive to your one precious life. Let this voice guide you gently through the art of remembering to live. You do not need to do anything with these reflections tonight, only to let them settle into you like seeds planted in the quiet soil of sleep, ready to bloom into a more awakened life. Just slow your breath, soften into rest, and let yourself remember gently the simple and extraordinary gift of being alive. And perhaps tomorrow you will live it a little more fully. Let us begin with the phrase itself in the gentle wisdom it holds. Memento vivere, remember to live. It sounds almost absurd at first. Of course we are living. We are alive, are we not? But the ancient sages who spoke this phrase understood a subtle and important truth, that being alive and truly living are not the same thing, and that it is entirely possible to do the first without ever really doing the second. We can spend our years merely existing, going through the motions, caught in routine, distracted, half present, sleepwalking through a life we are not truly experiencing. We can be technically alive for decades, and yet, in the deepest sense, hardly live at all, never fully present, never truly awake to the gift of existence, always somewhere else in our minds, always deferring real living to a tomorrow that never arrives. This is the danger the phrase warns against. Not death, but a kind of living death, a life unlived even while we are alive. To remember to live is to wake up to our own existence, to be truly present to our lives, to actually experience the gift of being alive rather than sleepwalking through it. It is to remember that this life right now is not a rehearsal or a waiting room for some real life to come. It is the real thing, the only one we have, happening right now. And it is to resolve to truly live it, to be present, to engage, to savor, to love, to wring the full richness from the gift of our days rather than letting them pass unlived. This is the necessary complement to remembering death. The thought of death, memento mori, wakes us to the brevity and preciousness of life. But that awareness is only useful if it leads us to actually live more fully. Memento vivere is the natural conclusion of memento mori. Because life is brief and precious, remember to actually live it. The two phrases together form a complete wisdom. Remember that you will bene, and therefore remember to truly live while you still can. The awareness of death is meant to send us back with renewed vigor into life. And here's the heart of it. Truly living is available to us right now in any circumstance, simply by waking up to the life we already have. We do not need to wait for a better life, more exciting circumstances, or some future condition. We need only to become present to the life that is already here, to actually experience the ordinary miracle of being alive, which we so often overlook. The richest life is not necessarily the one with the most dramatic experiences, but the one most fully lived, most deeply present, most awake to the gift of each ordinary day. There is great hope in this. It means that a fuller, richer life is available to us at any moment, simply by remembering to live, by waking up, becoming present, and truly engaging with the gift of our existence. We do not need to change our circumstances. We need only to change our presence, our awareness, our engagement with the life we already have. To remember to live is to discover that the extraordinary was hidden in the ordinary all along, waiting for us to wake up and notice it. Tonight, as you rest, let this gentle call settle into you. Remember to live, not with effort or anxiety, but as a soft awakening, a reminder that your life is precious and present and worth truly living. Let these reflections plant the seed of a more awakened life to bloom in your waking hours, and rest tonight in the peace of one who is learning, gently, to truly live. And the first thing that wakes us to this truth is facing the great human regret, the regret of the unlived life. To understand why we must remember to live, it helps to look honestly at the deepest of human regret, the regret at the end of life of not having truly lived. For those who have sat with the dying and those who have studied their reflections, report a striking and consistent truth, that the greatest regrets are almost never about what we did, but about what we failed to do, the life we did not live. People at the end of their days rarely regret their failures, their risks, their mistakes. What they regret again and again is the unlived life, the dreams they never pursued, the love they never expressed, the chances they never took, the authentic life they never dared to live, the presence they never brought to their own existence. They regret the years spent sleepwalking, deferring, playing it safe, living for others' expectations rather than their own truth. They regret most of all that they did not truly live while they had the chance. This is a sobering reflection, but its purpose is not to fill us with anxiety. It is to wake us up while we still have time. For the regret of the unlived life is entirely preventable. We need not reach the end of our days with that regret if we remember now to truly live. The reflections of the dying are a gift to the living, a clear warning of what truly matters, and a call to live fully while we still can. To learn from their regret is to be spared from repeating it. What is this unlived life that people so regret? It is often the life of authenticity, the life we would have lived if we had followed our own truth rather than others' expectations. It is the life of presence, actually being there for our own existence rather than sleepwalking through it. It is the life of courage, daring to pursue what mattered to us, to express our love, to take meaningful risks. It is the life of engagement, truly participating in the gift of existence rather than merely going through the motions. The unlived life is the rich, full, present, authentic life we were capable of living, but didn't. And the great cause of the unlived life is deferral, the endless postponement of real living to some future date. We tell ourselves we will truly live later, when we retire, when we have more money, when conditions are right, when we are less busy, and so we defer our living, year after year, always preparing to live but never quite living, until the time runs out and we realize too late that the life we were saving for some future moment was spent, after all, in the waiting. The unlived life is so often the deferred life. But here is the liberating truth. It is not too late. Wherever you are in your life, you can begin now to truly live, to stop deferring, to wake up, to be present, to pursue what matters, to live authentically and fully. The regret of the unlived life is only inevitable if we continue to defer. The moment we begin to truly live, we begin to write a different ending. Every day from this one forward can be a day truly lived, added to a life that, whenever it ends, will have been genuinely lived rather than merely existed. Tonight, let the wisdom of the dying gently wake you, without anxiety. You still have time. You can still truly live. Let go of any regret over the past, which is finished, and turn gently toward the resolve to live more fully from here. There is no need for fear or urgency tonight, only the soft, hopeful awakening to the preciousness of the life still before you. Rest tonight and wake tomorrow a little more resolved to truly live. And the first step in truly living is to wake from the sleepwalk of our ordinary days. One of the strangest truths about human life is how much of it we spend, in a sense, asleep, moving through our days on autopilot, lost in distraction, barely present to the life unfolding around us. To truly live, we must first wake up from this sleepwalk, must become genuinely present to our own existence. And this awakening is the gateway to a fuller, richer life. Consider how much of an ordinary day passes without our truly being present for it. We eat without tasting, walk without seeing, listen without hearing, move through our routines while our minds are elsewhere, replaying the past, rehearsing the future, lost in worry or distraction. We are physically present but mentally absent, going through the motions of living without truly experiencing it. Entire days, weeks, even years can pass in this fog of half-presence, and we look up to find that life has slipped by while we were not paying attention. The philosophers and sages of every tradition have pointed to this sleepwalking as the great obstacle to a full life, and to waking up, to becoming truly present, as the key. To wake up is to become fully present to the actual experience of being alive, to taste the food, to see the beauty, to feel the breath, to truly inhabit the moment we are in. It is to bring our full attention and presence to our lives, so that we actually experience them rather than sleepwalking through them. And in this awakened presence, even the most ordinary moments reveal their hidden richness. This is why presence is so central to truly living. Life happens only in the present moment, never in the remembered past or the imagined future, but always here, now. And so to truly live is to be present, to actually show up for the moments of our lives as they happen. The person lost in distraction, always somewhere else in their mind, misses their life even as they live it. The person who is truly present experiences their life fully, richly, deeply. They are awake to the gift of each moment. Presence is the difference between sleepwalking and truly living. And here is the wonderful thing. Waking up does not require changing our circumstances, but only changing our presence. The very same day lived with full presence rather than distracted absence becomes a completely different and far richer experience. The ordinary meal, eaten with full attention, becomes a pleasure. The ordinary walk, taken with open eyes, becomes a wonder. The ordinary conversation, entered with full presence, becomes a real connection. We do not need a more exciting life to live more fully. We need only to wake up to the life we already have. There is profound peace, too, in this awakened presence. For when we are truly present, we step out of the anxious churning of past and future and into the calm reality of now. The present moment, fully inhabited, is almost always peaceful, and it is also where life is richest, most vivid, most real. To wake up and be present is thus both the path to truly living and the path to peace. The two are one. The awakened life is both fuller and calmer than the sleepwalking life we so often lead. Tonight, paradoxically, as you prepare for sleep, you can practice this waking up, this full presence to the moment. Be truly present to the simple experience of resting, the weight of your body, the rhythm of your breath, the quiet of the night. Taste the peace of this moment fully, and let this practice of presence be a seed for your waking hours, a reminder to wake up tomorrow to the gift of your ordinary day and to truly live it. Rest now fully present and wake more awake. But waking up to life requires something many of us lack: the courage to truly live. To truly live requires something we do not often associate with daily life, but which is essential to a full existence: courage. For so much of what keeps us from truly living is fear. The fear of failure, of judgment, of loss, of uncertainty, of being fully seen. And to remember to live is, in large part, to find the courage to live fully despite these fears. Consider how fear shrinks our lives. We do not pursue our dreams for fear of failure. We do not express our love for fear of rejection. We do not speak our truth for fear of judgment. We do not take meaningful risks for fear of loss. We stay small, safe, and contained, letting fear make our decisions. And in doing so, we trade a full life for a safe one, an authentic life for a comfortable one. Fear, more than any external obstacle, is what keeps us from truly living. The unlived life is so often the life we were too afraid to live. The wisdom traditions understood that courage is essential to a full life. Not the absence of fear, for fear is natural and unavoidable, but the willingness to act, to live, to engage, despite our fear. The courageous person feels the fear and lives fully anyway. They do not let fear shrink their life or make their decisions. They pursue what matters, express their love, take meaningful risks, live authentically, not because they are fearless, but because they refuse to let fear rule them. This is the courage to live. Where do we find this courage? Partly, paradoxically, in the awareness of death. For when we truly grasp that our time is limited and precious, the fears that once held us back begin to seem small in comparison. What is the fear of failure or judgment against the far greater tragedy of an unlived life? The awareness of our mortality can give us the courage to live, by reminding us how much more we have to lose by not living than by daring to live fully. As one ancient teacher observed, the one who has made peace with death has nothing left to fear, and so is free to truly live. And we find courage, too, in remembering that the things we fear are usually far less terrible than the fear itself. The failure we dread is rarely as devastating as we imagine. The judgment we fear exists mostly in our minds. The risks we avoid are rarely as dangerous as our anxiety suggests. Much of what holds us back is not real danger, but imagined fear. And when we dare to act despite it, we usually find that the fear was far larger than the reality. Courage grows each time we act despite our fear and discover that we survive and even flourish. There is a deep aliveness, too, in courageous living. When we dare to truly live, to pursue what matters, to take meaningful risks, to engage fully with life despite our fears, we feel more alive than when we play it safe. The safe, fearful, contained life is not only smaller, but duller, less vivid, less truly lived. The courageous life, for all its risks, is richer, fuller, more vibrant, more truly a life. To live courageously is to live more fully and to feel the deep aliveness that comes only from daring to truly live. Tonight, you do not need to act courageously, only to rest and to let the seed of courage settle into you. Reflect gently on where fear has been keeping you small, and let the soft resolve grow to live more fully, more bravely from here. Not with anxiety, but with a quiet, hopeful courage. Rest tonight in peace and wake tomorrow a little braver, a little more willing to truly live. And the courageous, present life opens us to one of life's greatest gifts, the art of savoring. If presence is the gateway to truly living, then savoring is its fullest flowering, the art of deeply tasting, appreciating, and delighting in the experiences of life. For to truly live is not merely to pass through our experiences, but to savor them, to extract their full richness, to delight in them fully, to let them nourish us deeply. And this art of savoring is one we can cultivate, enriching our lives immeasurably. To savor is to bring full, appreciative attention to an experience, to slow down and truly taste it, rather than rushing through it on the way to the next thing. We so often consume our experiences hurriedly, distractedly, barely noticing them before moving on. But to savor is to linger, to attend, to appreciate, to fully experience the pleasure of a good meal, the beauty of a sunset, the warmth of a conversation, the comfort of rest. Savoring transforms ordinary experiences into sources of deep delight simply by bringing full, appreciative attention to them. The art of savoring rests on a simple truth, that the richness of an experience depends not only on the experience itself, but on the quality of our attention to it. The same meal savored slowly with full attention is far more pleasurable than the same meal consumed hurriedly and distractedly. The same beautiful day, truly noticed and appreciated, is far richer than the same day passed through unnoticed. By cultivating the art of savoring, of bringing full, appreciative attention to our experiences, we can dramatically enrich our lives, extracting far more delight and meaning from the very same circumstances. Savoring is also deeply tied to gratitude. To savor an experience is to appreciate it, to recognize its gift, to delight in it gratefully. And this grateful savoring not only enriches the experience itself, but cultivates a grateful and contented heart. The person who savors the ordinary gifts of life, food, beauty, connection, rest, lives in a kind of ongoing gratitude, finding richness and delight in the simple pleasures that others overlook. Savoring turns the ordinary into the extraordinary, and an ordinary life into a rich and grateful one. And savoring is especially powerful because it can be applied to the simplest of things, requiring no special circumstances. We need not wait for grand experiences to savor. We can savor the ordinary pleasures available to us every day. The warmth of morning light, the taste of good food, the comfort of a warm bed, the beauty of the sky, a moment of connection, the simple peace of rest. The capacity to savor the ordinary is the secret to a rich life, for it means that richness and delight are always available to us in the simplest gifts of each ordinary day. There is a gentle wisdom, too, in savoring the impermanent. Because all experiences are fleeting, savoring them fully while they last is a way of honoring their preciousness. The sunset is more worth savoring because it will fade, the moment with a loved one more precious because it will pass. This ordinary day more worth appreciating because it will not come again. To savor is to recognize the fleeting preciousness of each experience, and to delight in it fully while it is here. This is at the heart of truly living, to savor the precious, passing gifts of life while we have them. And tonight offers a perfect opportunity to savor the simple, profound pleasure of rest. Rather than rushing towards sleep, savor this moment of peace, the comfort of lying down, the release of the day's tensions, the deep pleasure of rest after effort, the quiet beauty of the night. Taste this peace fully, savor this rest deeply, and let it nourish you. And let this practice of savoring be a seed for your days, a reminder to savor the simple gifts of life, and so to live more richly. And savoring opens us to an even deeper gift, the gift of wonder. Among the most precious capacities of the human soul, and one of the surest signs of a life fully lived, is the capacity for wonder, the ability to be amazed, moved, and awed by the extraordinary miracle of existence. For to truly live is to see the world with eyes of wonder, to recover the amazement at being alive that we so easily lose. And this wonder is available to us if we will only open our eyes to it. As children, we lived in a state of natural wonder. Everything was amazing, fascinating, new. The world was a place of endless marvels, and we approached it with wide-eyed delight. But as we grow older, we lose this wonder. The world becomes familiar, ordinary, taken for granted. We stop seeing the marvels around us, numbed by habit and routine, into a kind of blindness to the extraordinary nature of ordinary existence. And in losing our wonder, we lose one of the deepest joys of being alive. To truly live is, in part, to recover this lost capacity for wonder. And the astonishing truth is that the world is genuinely full of wonder if we have eyes to see it. Consider that we exist at all, conscious and aware, on a small planet spinning through an immense cosmos, is an extraordinary marvel beyond comprehension. That the universe exists, vast and beautiful and intricate, that there is something rather than nothing, that we are here, able to experience in love and wonder. These are genuine miracles, which we have simply grown too familiar with to notice. Wonder is not a matter of finding extraordinary things, but of seeing the extraordinary nature of ordinary things. Marcus Aurelius, for all his Stoic discipline, had a deep capacity for this wonder. He marveled at the beauty hidden in ordinary things, the way bread cracks as it bakes, the way fruit ripens, the natural grace of common creatures. He saw that for one with eyes to see, the world is full of quiet marvels, even in its most ordinary moments. And he counseled contemplating the cosmos, the stars, the vastness of nature, as a source of wonder and perspective. To cultivate wonder is to see the world as he did, full of marvels, extraordinary in its very ordinariness, a place of endless amazement for those awake to it. There is profound joy and aliveness in wonder. When we recover our capacity for amazement, when we see the world with fresh eyes, awake to its marvels, life becomes vivid, rich, and full of delight. The wonder of a starry sky, the miracle of a living creature, the astonishing fact of our own consciousness, the beauty of the natural world, these fill us with a joy and aliveness that the jaded, habituated mind can never know. To live in wonder is to live more fully, more joyfully, more awake to the extraordinary gift of existence. And wonder, like savoring, is available to us in the simplest things, requiring no special circumstances. We need not travel to distant marvels to find wonder. We can find it in the night sky above our homes, in the living things around us, in the astonishing fact of our own breath and awareness, in the beauty of an ordinary day truly seen. The capacity for wonder is a way of seeing, available always, that transforms the ordinary world into the place of marvels it truly is. To cultivate wonder is to enrich every ordinary day with amazement and delight. Tonight, let yourself feel a gentle wonder at the simple miracle of being alive. Consider the astonishing fact that you exist at all, conscious, aware, breathing, resting beneath the same stars that have amazed humanity for all of time. Let a quiet wonder fill you at the gift of existence, the marvel of being here at all. And let this wonder be a seed for your days, a reminder to see the world with fresh eyes and to live in amazement at the extraordinary gift of ordinary life. Rest tonight in wonder and wake more awake to the marvel of being alive. And the deepest expression of a life truly lived is found in our connections with others, in love. If we ask what makes a life truly worth living, what fills it with the deepest meaning and joy, the answer, across all wisdom and all human experience, comes back to one thing above all: love. Our connections with others, the love we give and receive, the bonds we share, are the very heart of a life fully lived. And to remember to live is, above all, to remember to love. When people reflect on what gave their lives meaning, it is rarely their achievements or possessions they speak of, but their relationships, the people they loved, the connections they shared, the love that filled their days. And when they reflect on their regrets, it is so often about love. Love not expressed, connections not nurtured, time with loved ones not treasured. For we are, by our deepest nature, social beings, made for connection. And it is in loving and being loved that we find our deepest fulfillment. A life rich in chayim is a life truly lived, whatever else it may lack. The Stoics, often mistaken for cold and detached, in fact place great value on love and human connection. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we are made for one another, like parts of a single body, and that to live well is to live in connection and goodwill with our fellow human beings. He counseled loving the people fate brings us, and doing so with our whole heart. The Stoic ideal was not isolation but innate, loving connection, recognizing that our bonds with others are among the greatest goods of life and a central part of living well. To remember to live, then, is to remember to love, to nurture our connections, to express our love while we can, to truly be present with the people we cherish. So often we let love go unexpressed, assuming there will be time later. We are too busy or distracted to be truly present with our loved ones. We take our connections for granted. But love, unexpressed, and connections neglected are among the deepest regrets of the unlived life. To truly live is to love actively, presently, generously. To tell people we love them, to be truly present with them. To treasure our time together while we have it. And love, like all of life's gifts, is made more precious by its impermanence. Because our time with those we love is finite, because we will not have them, or they us forever, every moment of connection becomes precious. Every expression of love worth giving now rather than deferring. The awareness of life's brevity is, in part, a call to love more fully and more presently, to not waste our limited time together, to not leave our love unexpressed, to treasure our connections while we have them. To remember that we will bust is to remember to love while we live. There is profound joy and meaning in this loving connection. When we truly love, when we are present with those we cherish, express our love freely, nurture our bonds, we experience some of the deepest joys available to human beings. Love is both the meaning of life and its greatest delight. To live in love is to live richly, fully, and well. However simple our circumstances, a life rich in love and connection is a life truly and beautifully lived. Tonight, let your heart turn gently toward those you love. Feel gratitude for the connections that grace your life, the people you cherish, the love you share, and let the soft resolve grow to love more fully, more presently, more freely in your waking hours, to express your love, to treasure your time with loved ones, to nurture your precious bonds. Rest tonight in the warmth of love, and wake tomorrow a little more ready to truly love. And love is itself an expression of the deepest stance toward life, saying yes to it all. At the very heart of truly living lies a fundamental stance toward existence, a deep, wholehearted yes to life itself, with all its joys and sorrows, its gifts and its difficulties. For to truly live is to embrace life fully, to say yes to the whole of it, to engage with existence wholeheartedly rather than holding back in fear or resentment. This great yes to life is the foundation of a life fully lived. So many of us live with a subtle no to life, holding back, playing it safe, resisting our experiences, resenting our difficulties, never fully committing to the gift of existence. We keep life at arm's length, protecting ourselves from its risks and pains, but in doing so, we also shut ourselves off from its fullness and joy. The great yes to life is the opposite, a wholehearted embrace of existence, a willingness to fully engage, to feel deeply, to risk, to participate fully in the whole catastrophe and glory of being alive. It is to meet life with open arms rather than a defensive crouch. This yes includes embracing not only life's joys, but its full range of experience, even its difficulties and sorrows. For a life fully lived is not a life of unbroken pleasure, but a life fully felt, fully engaged in all its dimensions. To truly live is to be willing to feel deeply, to know joy and sorrow, love and loss, triumph and struggle, rather than numbing ourselves to avoid pain at the cost of also numbing our joy. The fullest life is the most fully felt life, and that means saying yes even to the difficult parts, embracing the whole of our experience as part of being truly alive. The philosophers understood this deep affirmation of life, to embrace one's fate, to love what is, to say yes to existence with all its conditions. This they saw as the mark of a soul that had learned to truly live, not a grudging tolerance of life, nor a resentful endurance of it, but a wholehearted embrace, a deep yes to the gift of existence, exactly as it is. This affirmation is not naive. It sees clearly all of life's difficulties and embraces life fully anyway. It is the courageous, open-hearted yes of one who has chosen to truly live. There is a deep vitality in this yes. When we say yes to life, when we embrace existence wholeheartedly, engage fully, feel deeply, participate completely, we feel intensely alive. The half-hearted no to life, the defensive holding back, leaves us feeling deadened, disengaged, only half alive. But the wholehearted yes fills us with vitality, with the deep aliveness that comes from full engagement with the gift of existence. To say yes to life is to truly live it with all the vividness and richness that full engagement brings. And this yes is ultimately a yes to the present moment, for life is always lived now. To say yes to life is to say yes to this moment, this experience, this gift of being alive right now. It is to stop resisting the present, stop holding back, stop waiting for a better moment, and instead to embrace fully the life that is here now in this very moment. The great yes to life is, in the end, a great yes to now, to fully inhabiting and embracing the present gift of existence. Tonight, you can practice a gentle yes, a soft, wholehearted acceptance of your life as what is on and of this moment of rest. Say yes to the day that was, with all it held. Say yes to this peaceful moment. Say yes to your one precious life exactly as it is. And let this yes be a seed for your days, A reminder to embrace life fully, to engage wholeheartedly, to say yes to the gift of existence. Rest tonight in this deep affirmation and wake tomorrow more ready to say yes to life. And this yes naturally leads us to follow what makes us feel most alive. To truly live is not only to be present and to say yes to life, but to actively orient our lives toward what makes us feel most alive. To follow the thread of our deepest aliveness, our genuine passions and callings, the things that light us up from within. For a life truly lived, it is one lived in alignment with our own aliveness, rather than in dull conformity to what we think we should do. Each of us has within us a sense of what makes us feel truly alive. The activities, pursuits, and ways of being that fill us with energy, joy, and meaning. These are different for each person. What lights up one soul leaves another cold. But within each of us is this thread of aliveness, this inner compass pointing toward what genuinely engages and fulfills us. And to truly live is in large part to follow this thread, to orient our lives as much as we can toward what makes us feel most alive, rather than away from it. So often, though, we live against our aliveness rather than with it. We pursue what we think we should pursue, what others expect of us, what brings status or security, even when it deadens us inside. We ignore the quiet voice of our own aliveness, dismissing our genuine passions as impractical or selfish, and we end up living lives that may look successful but feel empty. Lives lived against the grain of our own souls. The unlived life is so often the life lived against our aliveness, in conformity to what we think we should do, rather than in alignment with what truly engages us. To follow our aliveness is not necessarily to abandon all responsibility and chase every whim. It is to honor the thread of our genuine passions and callings, to make space in our lives for what truly engages us, to orient ourselves where we can toward what fills us with life rather than what deadens us. It is to listen to the inner compass of our aliveness and to follow it, even in small ways rather than ignoring it entirely. Even within the constraints of our circumstances, we can almost always move, at least a little, toward what makes us feel more alive. And these movements over time transform a deadened life into a vital one. There is deep wisdom in this. Our aliveness is, in a sense, a guide to how we are meant to live, pointing us toward the activities and ways of being in which we most fully flourish and contribute. When we follow it, we not only feel more alive, but often live more fully into our unique gifts and purpose, contributing to the world from a place of genuine engagement rather than dull obligation. To follow our aliveness is to live authentically, in alignment with our own nature. And the authentic life is the truly lived life. And following our aliveness brings a deep vitality and joy. When we orient our lives toward what genuinely engages us, we feel energized, fulfilled, truly alive. The deadened conformity of a life lived against our aliveness gives way to the vibrant energy of a life lived in alignment with it. We wake with more enthusiasm, engage with more passion, live with more joy. To follow our aliveness is to fill our lives with the deep vitality that comes from doing what truly engages and fulfills us. Tonight, reflect gently on what makes you feel most alive, the activities, pursuits, and ways of being that light you up from within. And let the soft resolve grow to follow this thread of aliveness more fully in your waking hours, to make more space for what genuinely engages you. Not with pressure, but with gentle hope. Rest tonight and wake tomorrow a little more oriented toward your own aliveness. And to follow our aliveness, we must overcome the great enemy of truly living, the endless deferral to someday. The single greatest obstacle to truly living is a small but powerful word, someday. We defer our real living to some future time. Someday, when conditions are right, we will truly live. And so our real life is perpetually postponed, always just ahead, never quite here. To remember to live is, above all, to live now, to stop deferring, and to truly live in the present, the only time we ever actually have. We are masters of deferral. We tell ourselves we will truly live, pursue our dreams, express our love, savor our days, be fully present. Someday, when we retire, when we have more money, when the kids are grown, when things settle down, when conditions are finally right. And so we postpone our living year after year, always preparing to live, but never quite living, until the some days run out. And we realize too late that the life we kept deferring was the only life we had. Someday is the great thief of life. But here is the truth that breaks the spell of someday. The conditions will never be perfect, and the future we are waiting for is not guaranteed to come. There will always be reasons to defer, always something that is not yet right, always a someday that promises the real living is still ahead, and the future itself is uncertain. The someday we are saving for may never arrive. The only time we are ever guaranteed, the only time life can actually be lived, is now. This present moment, this actual day, this real life happening right now. To wait for someday is to risk never truly living at all. The remedy is to live now, to bring our real living into the present, rather than deferring it to an imagined future. This does not mean abandoning all planning or never working toward the future goals. It means refusing to postpone our actual living, to be present now, to savor now, to love now, to pursue what matters now, to truly live in the only time we ever have. It means finding the fullness of life in the present, rather than perpetually waiting for it to arrive in some future that recedes before us. The fullest life is lived not someday, but today. This is the deeper meaning of the ancient call to seize the day. Not a frantic grasping at every experience, but a gentle insistence on actually living in the present, rather than deferring life to the future. To seize the day is to truly inhabit this day, to live it fully, to find in it the richness and meaning we keep postponing. It is to recognize that this ordinary day, today, is not a mere stepping stone to some better future day, but a precious part of our one life, to be truly lived now. Every today fully lived is a victory over the tyranny of someday. There is great freedom and peace in living now. When we stop deferring our living to someday, we are freed from the perpetual waiting, the sense that our real life is always just ahead. We discover that the life we were waiting for is available right now, in the present, if we will only live it. We stop postponing our joy, our presence, our love, our fullness, and we begin to truly live today in the only moment we ever have. The endless waiting ends, and real living begins now. And tonight, in a gentle way, you are living now, fully present to this moment of rest, not deferring your peace to some future time, but finding it here, in the present. Let this be a model for your days, to live now, to find the fullness of life in the present, to stop waiting for someday. Rest tonight fully in the present moment, and wake tomorrow to resolve to live that day now fully, rather than deferring your living to a someday that may never come. And living now fully leads us to choose a life of meaning over a life of mere comfort. As we learn to truly live, we face a fundamental choice about what kind of life to pursue. And the wisdom traditions are clear that a life truly lived is one oriented toward meaning, not merely toward comfort. For the deepest fulfillment comes not from a life of maximum ease and pleasure, but from a life of meaning, purpose, and contribution. And to remember to live is, in part, to choose meaning over mere comfort. Our culture often suggests that the goal of life is comfort, to maximize pleasure, minimize difficulty, achieve ease and security. And while comfort has its place, a life organized solely around it tends to be strangely empty and unfulfilling. For human beings do not, in the end, find their deepest fulfillment in comfort, but in meaning, in living for something larger than ourselves, in contributing, in growing, in pursuing purposes that matter. The most comfortable life is not the most fulfilling life. Often, it is the meaningful life, with all its challenges, that fulfills us most deeply. The philosophers understood this well. The Stoics held that the good life was not a life of pleasure and ease, but a life of virtue, purpose, and contribution to the common good. They saw that meaning and virtue, not comfort and pleasure, were the true sources of a fulfilling life, and they were willing to embrace difficulty, even hardship, in service of a meaningful and virtuous life, understanding that a life of meaning, with its challenges, is far richer than a life of empty comfort. To truly live, they saw, is to live for what matters, not merely for what feels good. This is why a life of pure comfort-seeking so often leads to emptiness, while a life of meaning and purpose, even with its difficulties, leads to deep fulfillment. Meaning gives our lives weight, direction, and significance. It makes our struggles worthwhile and our days matter. The person living for something larger than themselves, for love, for contribution, for a worthy purpose, for growth, lives a fuller and more satisfying life than the person living only for comfort and pleasure, however much ease they achieve. To remember to live is to remember to live for meaning. And meaning, the wisdom traditions teach, is found not in receiving, but in giving, in contributing, in serving, in loving, in adding something good to the world. The most meaningful lives are oriented outward, toward others and toward worthy purposes, rather than inward toward our own comfort and pleasure. There is a deep paradox here, that we find our own deepest fulfillment not by pursuing our own comfort, but by giving ourselves to something larger, to love, to contribution, to meaning. To truly live is, in large part, to live for something beyond ourselves. This does not mean we must abandon all comfort or pursue suffering. It means we orient our lives toward meaning as the primary good, with comfort in its proper secondary place. We choose when the two conflict, the meaningful over the merely comfortable. We embrace the challenges that a meaningful life requires. We live for purposes that matter, even when they ask difficulty of us. And in doing so, we find the deep fulfillment that mere comfort can never provide, the rich satisfaction of a life truly lived for something that matters. Tonight, reflect gently on the sources of meaning in your life, the people you love, the purposes you serve, the contributions you make, the growth you pursue. And let the soft resolve grow to orient your life more fully toward meaning, to live for what matters rather than merely for comfort. Rest tonight in the deep satisfaction of a meaningful life, and wake tomorrow a little more oriented toward what truly matters. And all of these reflections come together in a daily practice of remembering to live. As our hour together draws to a close, let us gather all these reflections into a living practice, the daily art of remembering to live. For remembering to live is not a single insight, but a practice, returned to again and again until truly living becomes our natural way of being in the world. The foundation of this practice is presence, the daily commitment to wake up and be truly present to our lives. We can practice throughout each day, returning from distraction to presence, actually tasting our food, seeing the world, feeling our experiences, being truly here for the moments of our lives. We can use simple reminders to wake up from the sleepwalk and return to presence, a breath, a pause, a moment of attention. And gradually through this practice, presence becomes our habit, and we begin to truly live our days rather than sleepwalking through them. A second practice is savoring in gratitude, the daily appreciation of the gifts of our lives. We can cultivate the habit of savoring our experiences, of noticing and giving thanks for the simple pleasures and beauties of each day, of approaching the world with wonder and appreciation. We might take a moment each day to truly savor something, a meal, a sunset, a moment of connection, and to give thanks for the gifts of our lives. This practice of savoring and gratitude enriches our days immeasurably, turning ordinary life into a source of deep delight. A third practice is to regularly reconnect with what truly matters, to remember amid the busyness of life what we are living for. We might reflect regularly on our deepest values, our loves, our purposes, our sources of meaning, and gently realign our lives with them. We can ask ourselves, am I truly living or merely existing? Am I present or sleepwalking? Am I living for what matters or merely deferring and drifting? These gentle questions keep us oriented toward truly living and help us course correct when we have drifted into mere existence. And a fourth practice is to act in small ways each day on the resolve to truly live, to express our love, to pursue what engages us, to take small, brave steps, to stop deferring and to live now. We need not make dramatic changes. We can simply bring more presence, more savoring, more love, more courage, more meaning into our ordinary days. Each small act of truly living adds up over time to a life genuinely lived. The practice is in the daily accumulation of these small choices to truly live. The beauty of this practice is that it transforms not our circumstances, but our experience of them, turning the same ordinary life into a far richer, fuller, more truly lived experience. We do not need to wait for a better life to begin truly living. We can begin now with the life we have simply by practicing presence, savoring, love, courage, and meaning in our ordinary days. And gradually through this practice, we become people who truly live, awake, present, grateful, loving, and fully engaged with the precious gift of existence. So tonight, as the final practice of your day, let the resolve to truly live settle gently into you. Not as pressure or anxiety, but as a soft, hopeful awakening to the preciousness of your one life. Tomorrow you can wake up a little more, be present a little more, savor a little more, love a little more, live a little more fully. For now, rest. For rest too is part of truly living. And let these seeds of a more awakened life take root in the quiet soil of your sleep, ready to bloom in your waking days. So we have spent this hour remembering to live, turning toward the luminous wisdom of Memento Vivere. We have seen that being alive and truly living are not the same, that the deepest regret is the unlived life, and that to truly live, we must wake from our sleepwalk and become present. We have explored the courage to live, the art of savoring, the gift of wonder, the centrality of love, the great yes to life, the following of our aliveness, the urgency of living now rather than someday, and the choice of meaning over mere comfort. But if you keep only one thing from tonight, let it be this gentle call. Remember to live, not someday when conditions are perfect, but now in the one precious life you have been given. You can wake up to your own existence. You can be present, savor, wonder, love, and truly engage with the gift of being alive. The full life you long for is not waiting in some distant future. It is available now in the present, simply by remembering to truly live the life you already have. The night has grown deep, and it is time to rest. For rest, too, is part of a life well lived, and the deepest living flows from a place of peace. Let these reflections settle gently into you, like seeds planted in the quiet soil of sleep. Release any pressure or anxiety. There is only the soft, hopeful awakening to the preciousness of your life. Rest now, deeply and peacefully, gathering your strength for the gift of another day. Thank you for spending this hour remembering to live. If it has stirred in you even a little more aliveness, return whenever you find yourself merely existing. And if you wish to remember to live again, you may leave a small mark of stillness by subscribing. And now let everything grow still. Rest deeply tonight and wake tomorrow more awake, more present, more grateful, more alive to the precious gift of your one life. Remember that you will die, and therefore remember to live. Good night.